This podcast is brought to you by Steede Motor Group, Claregalway. For your personalised vehicle shopping experience, find out more at steedemotorgroup.ie. So delighted now to be joined by former Galway footballer and Milltown footballer Diarmaid Blake to just take a look at all things Galway football, look back in his career. But before we do that all, Diarmaid, you were still going strong this year for Milltown. Uh, what a year you had. There was different stages on this podcast throughout the year where we probably did question Milltown a small bit, but remarkable year really for you, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a great year really, and yeah, it was a topsy turvy season for us really because we had a really bad result against St James's, I felt, and it kind of stuttered us a small bit, but we came really strong near the end, and it kind of all came together for the Claregalway game. It was set up for us. We were the underdogs coming in, and we had the experience against a younger team, so we played on that and kind of got us going. And when it came to Corofin, we had a disastrous start, but we still didn't die. We kept going, so it was a really enjoyable year now for myself, being playing for a long time. It was one of the most enjoyable years that I had with Milltown because we weren't really expected. We just got on a wave and it just kind of took off for us, and the place was in great form. All the community in the club was in great form for the whole year and still are after it. So it's amazing what a run the championship can do for a community.
You didn't die, a word you say there is the spirit. The Down game in particular, Down had a lot of chances and it looked like midway through that second half that they kind of had the game in their sight, but I think you were 3 points down and you kicked the last 5 points of the game. That was obviously a big turning point.
Yeah, huge turning point. Usually we would we would fall off at that stage, but we'd always have the kind of belief in Milltown. Our problem is to start. If we're in the game with 15 minutes to go, we'd always give ourselves a good chance. But we stayed in that game, and it was probably realistically, Down missed the chances that gave us an opportunity to grab it. But grab it we did, and it was a real turning point, I think, for our group of players. A lot of them are younger lads, and you could see them kind of the maturity growing after that game. And how to kind of grind it out. So it was a really enjoyable game to play. And as I said, the James game then was a game there wasn't really any point as such. We were through anyway. And it worked out, that first or second didn't really matter with how the other results went. And we got Claregalway in the draw. So, that Claregalway game was phenomenal. The feeling after it, to really, you can't get that feeling in any shape of life. It was brilliant. And, sometimes you feel when you get on a run like that with a team that's punching above their weight, it's nearly more enjoyable than winning something on another team. But yeah, I have to say I really enjoyed it now this year.
Where does the spirit in Milltown come from?
I don't know. I don't know. I suppose it's probably because it's the only sport we have in the town and the village, and there's nothing else, and everyone is just so interested in how you do. And often I suppose we, at underage or senior level, we don't do that well a lot of the time. So when we do, it kind of everyone really gets behind the team. And I suppose there's a tradition there as well, going back over the years, which you'd be always aware of. Like the older teams would have done really well, a lot better than I suppose we have. But that's I suppose tradition is still there, not to kind of give in and keep going for as long as you can. So yeah, that's probably it, really.
The one thing which he compared to some other clubs, even after games, if ever you're out, like you'd always see the Milltown crew together. There's a bond obviously there.
Yeah, there is, but you wouldn't want to be hearing what we're saying in the pub after it about each other. That's the side of it. It might look that way sometimes, but yeah, I suppose look at because we're so small, there's not many of us, and if you look at the age profile of our team, we're all pushing on, I suppose, but because we don't have the numbers, you nearly have to keep going give the other lads a chance to be competitive. So, we have a lot of lads over 35 still playing, going well, I suppose. But, if you took a lot of the lads, if a lot of lads retired, what would you have down train? You might have 12 or 13 down train. It's no good for anybody. So, that's probably why we all kind of keep going to give everyone a shot at it. But yeah, but look at it. It's it is a great club in that sense. We have a great spirit, and hopefully we can stay going and stay senior, and hopefully push on. We're supposed to be faltering with the last 10 years, but we're still punching above our weight, and hopefully there's younger players coming through now at underage, particularly under 14, 15, 16. There's good team players coming, so the quicker the better. They say, I suppose.
Do you think sometimes too much can be made of the age profile of your team?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I think in all intercounty and club, I think players retire too early. I think they're probably a lot of the time because you're nearly forced to retire. As a player, you probably think you're going to be holding someone's position if you play and give the younger lads a chance. And even the supporters, once you get over 30, you have one bad game, you're finished, your legs are gone. And so, at intercounty level, I think your physical ability, your athletic ability, it matters a bit more. At club football, it's a lot slower. And as well with the kind of panel game, the way it's gone at the moment now, you have starters and finishers. So, I mean, with 20, 25 minutes to go in a game, it's very loose. A lot of the pace has gone out of the game. So you're kind of playing a lot of it with your head at that stage. So, players can make an impact coming off the bench. And I think a lot more players are, don't mind coming off the bench as much. Go back 10 years ago, if you didn't start, it was a terrible thing. But now, people are more receptive to maybe making an impact coming off the bench. So, that's a factor as well.
I get the sense the love is still there for football for you when you were coming on
Yeah, it
slow.
is. Yeah, it is. It is. I have to say, I like the training more than the actual matches. The training is really good, and like I mean, when you're not playing football, what do you're going to a gym, you're running yourself, you're doing your own program. It's a lot more enjoyable when you're training and you're keeping fit, playing something you love, and even the way the season split. For myself, I still play a bit of junior with Milltown, so you can kind of play your junior football during the year, see how you're going, and if you're moving okay by the time the championship comes along, we train with the seniors anyway in Milltown, and then you're kind of in there and you see how you go. If you feel good, you can kind of take it from there. So that's kind of how a lot of the lads do it in Milltown.
Just there, we didn't really reference it, but the curving game. I know you mightn't have said it before the game, but was there a kind of motivation just to give a performance more than anything, considering what happened against Kerfin previous to that in the semi-final?
To be honest with you, probably not. There wasn't that many of us that was playing that. A lot of lads wouldn't even remember that game. So, and as well, a lot of the curving guys probably I'd say was only most of them weren't there as well. So it wasn't really a factor. If you went back 5 years before that and we played them, absolutely, yeah. But I don't think it was a factor. We just wanted to go out and kind of give a performance and see where it went. And again, we like being underdogs, and no one gave us a chance against Corofin, so we were going look at if we can stick with it for a while. Who knows what could happen in the last 10 or 15 minutes? But unfortunately, the third goal really kind of killed the game as a contest, and it could have got really messy for us after that. And, on fair play to the lads, they kind of kept going. And, we got it in within 2 points near the end, with a huge ambush at the end. And, Corofin probably missed their few chances. But, who knows what could have happened at the end. But, at the end of it, it was still, I was kind of happy enough myself. We gave a good performance and ran Corofin close, and gave some lads in our panels a bit of belief. They're probably, some of them guys, most of them guys would have never played in the county semi-final before and probably would never have believed that you could get there. So the fact that we got there and did well, would really, help their confidence. And even younger lads in the club that are 9 or 10 or 12 playing would have seen us playing and competing against Corofin. Can't do anything wrong for them guys for their careers and where they want to get to.
Particularly the third goal. Obviously, there's a mix up there between your keeper and wing back right before half time, and you just got yourselves right back into the game. Like that's a tough goal. Like it must be the most
Yeah.
pleasing thing to see the kind of team come back after something like that.
Yeah, I think what we tried to press Corofin's kickouts at the start, and looking back at it, it was probably a wrong decision because they're excellent at their kickouts. They've years of work done on it, and they caught us with 2 goals at the start, and then we kind of sat off and let them have it, and we were getting back into the game, and we were playing actually okay with the breeze, and that just third goal was a real sucker punch, because we had just found a bit of confidence that we were, getting into our groove with the breeze to come in the second half. It was a real sucker punch. But in fairness, we came out in the second half and we dug in and we got going and put Cahill in full forward, my brother Cahill, and he caused havoc in there. He's so big, and we just kicked a few long balls and he created havoc. And on another day, who knows what had happened? But yeah, it was still we still came out with our head held high after that game, I feel, and that's the most important thing.
Isn't that the thing though about football? People will sometimes go on about the rules and there needs to be new rule changes, but even with that second half and Call going in full forward, it can be a simple game sometimes, can't it?
Yeah, absolutely. But in any game you watch, it's all about the basic skills. Kicking the ball, taking your chances, catching it when there's no one around you, no unforced errors. If any team cuts out all that small stuff that seems so simple, no matter how the game is going, it's still they're the basics of it. And I know a lot have been said that football and the standard has gone down a lot, and there probably is some tweaks that's been needed. But I mean, I remember being down, was it down to, I remember Mick O'Dwyer's, he had a hotel down there in Waterville, and he has a room with all the All Irelands that he won. I was down reading it, looking at the scores of all I think he's 12 All Irelands he was involved with as a player, as a manager, and all those scores were low for All Ireland finals, and people forget that. You think looking back, oh, it was all flamboyant football, kicking it from all flamboyant from the goalie out to up to the other side. But I think there's not a lot wrong with the game, just probably the speed at which teams transition from defense to attack. I think the goalie coming out probably gives that cushion for defenders that you can always go back the way. So if a team goes to press up on you, you can always go back to the goalie. And if you've a really good goalie, you've a spare man always back there. And I don't know how you'd kind of stop that, but maybe if it was the case that someone had to be inside the 21, like a goalie, someone had to be in the small square. So if the goalie comes out, someone has to go back in or something like that. Um, but yeah, again, the fitness levels is phenomenal at football. It's phenomenal. Even still, the few rule changes, I suppose the mark inside. I always look at Monaghan. Monaghan seem to have really studied the rules of the game and
Mm.
saying how can we make the best of these rules. Like Conor McManus, for instance, they know if he gets the ball in a mark, whoever he gets a mark, he's going to score. So they kind of wait and wait and wait for that, and they get it into him. He probably doesn't have the legs to go around lads anymore, but he'll wait for his chance, and they'll give it into him. He catches it, and it's a score. Rory Began on the other side, he's that player at the back who comes up, creates that overlap. They've really used the goalkeeper, the playmaker role with him. And even McCarthy now, who is a forward, and they're now playing him wing back, because they basically play a lot of guys inside that are workhorses, and he's a scorer from out the field, and he's coming onto it, and he gets a score. So I think they've really made the most of the rule changes, but I think the kick. lateral kick for the mark. I don't like that one, but I still don't mind the long ball into the square. You know, if you were in the square and you get a big long ball and you catch it, I think there should be some reward for it. But I don't like the ones that you're basically just outside the 45 and you kick it 35 yards just to a lad inside and he has a shot at goal. It kind of slows the game down. And the one skill it probably is the one that's the most that has got rid of the game is the man marking because you can drop lads back. If a forward gets a mark, you can't tackle. So I think the out and out cornerbacks aren't as important as they used to be. Because of that reason. And now you see a lot of players being moved into cornerback because they're nearly played there for their attacking ability more than their defending. Because a lot of cornerbacks get on scores now.
Do you still enjoy watching football today?
Yeah, absolutely. I do anyway. I love the competition. I mean, anybody loves a competition. You know, some people are saying that it's not that enjoyable to watch, but if it's a tight game, everyone loves to see tight game at any level, at any sport. So I still like watching it. But I suppose, yeah, the pace of it does at some stages, if there's two defensive minded teams, it does get very lethargic at some stage. What could you do there? I know that, often played up in Kilmacud at the Kilmacud Sevens, and in that scenario, once you bring the ball outside the 45, you can't go back. And it's easy enough policed up there. There's the linesman keeps an eye on it both sides, and that might be something that could be looked at to maybe bring it on a small bit. Another thing that's interesting in rugby, you see, the kick, the what are they called, the dropouts, the 22 dropouts. Some of them now, I don't understand the rules of it, but they're taken behind the inline to stop people to make forcing them to play the ball or something. But if you go back 10 or 15 years ago, the kickouts for goalies were taken on the small edge of the square. So like now all the kickouts are taken 21 yards out. So I feel the midfield is nearly bypassed because if a goalie puts down the ball, he can chip a ball 45 yards out to someone. A chip at the ball is nearly getting to midfield. And if a team has a really good midfield, the goalies have long kickouts and they're kicking it from the 21-yard line. They're nearly kicking to the opposition's 40 now, nearly to the half forward line. So I think we're missing the high feeling at for the midfielders, and that's why you often see now players playing. I think you'll see it a bit more full forward line, midfielders playing the full forward line and coming out with a kick out and just going straight over the top to a big guy, on the 40 playing at full forward, like a Damien Comer style player,
Mm.
you know. Um, but yeah, there are some changes. I'd like to see some changes, but not a lot either. I still think there's a lot good for the going for the game as well.
I know a lot of people have kind of talked about that you have to leave two or three forwards up at all times. It seems to be a big one that people
Yeah.
are going after. But then, as you said, it's up to the linesman to police, and then will it be spotted every time? There could just probably be inconsistencies then probably occurring.
Yeah, yeah. Again, I suppose they probably need to try something out and see how it goes. But that might be something that's keeping two up. If you keep four up, you hear some people keeping four up, but I don't think that will work. And no matter what change you make, management are so clever now, and there's so much at stake. Someone will come up with a strategy to break it down. I'm very interested in see how Jim McGuinness, what sort of style is he going to come with this year? Because he's a real innovator. What sort of style will he bring this year to counterattack the way the style of football is at the moment?
And at the moment, Jim, like among all Gaelic football supporters, there's a lot of excitement with the season just around the corner, particularly here in Galway. Disappointing year last year, but injuries, you have to say, definitely played their part. Sean Kelly and Damien Comer in that Mayo game just not being at full fitness was a huge loss. But how are you feeling now for Galway ahead of the 2024 season?
Yeah, I'd be very hopeful. I have to say, even last year, I Galway up until the Armagh game. were the team were really up there, were in contention for the All Ireland. And the kind of the Armagh game really stunned us in one sense. But we have got we had a lot of injuries. Like even the likes of Patrick Kelly, fringe players that the year before that we didn't have any injuries. Damien Comer missed. He went off there in a league game and he was only coming and going, and he was just was missing for the Armagh game and he was back, so he wasn't up to full fitness. And even I think myself with Shane Welsh moving to Kilmacud, he wasn't used to the long season for the club. So, he went right into the following season where he probably never was used to that before. And, I have a feeling this year he'll time his season better to kind of peak for Galway at the right time, you know. So I'd be very hopeful. I think we've a lot of good players, and there's no standout team at the moment. Over the years there was Dublin. I remember in my day, Kerry were kind of like the standout team, and it was like who can beat Kerry. But there's no one really there at the moment. Kerry are Kerry are good, but they're not unbeatable. Dublin are kind of very good, but they have an aging team. I suppose the next defeat they have, you could see a lot of them guys retiring. So Derry aren't bad. Mayo, how are they going to do? It's hard to know, but Roscommon aren't bad. But like, I mean, it's pretty even enough. There's 7 or 8 teams that would feel they could have a chance. And if Galway stay injury free, I think they have a great chance of doing something special next year.
Where's the biggest area that you see that needs to be improved for 24?
Yeah, honestly, no. I think we have the raw material in all the right positions. Maybe a kind of a ball winning forward, maybe inside, someone, and maybe strength and depth, people to come in and make an impact. I just felt as well, if you go back to the last year, I thought our conversion rate up top was a lot better than it was this year. I thought this year we missed a few chances that, if you got them, would it got you over the line. And often with Galway, I feel if Galway get to Croke Park, we usually play well when we get to Croke Park. It's about getting there. So hopefully we can get there with a full squad. That's the big thing. There's no secret of last year. I don't think we had any injury really, nothing significant. With all our main players fit, and that's a huge factor for Galway next year. I think we have the players.
With that, obviously around this time of year, there's a lot of new players and say some kind of old familiar faces returning. But is like from being playing in the club championship this year, is there one or two players that you can feel for Galway this year that can kind of have a breakthrough year?
I'd say it's hard to pick a few players out, but realistically, you often feel, I know from my own career, like there's never rarely a player unless he's coming out of minor or under 20 who's just going to come straight in and be an instant superstar. But it's not kind of about that. If a player gets in, stays injury free, and gets a run of games, and the manager believes in him, who knows, what can happen for a lot of players. There's a good few lads from the under 20s or Keelan O'Curry and Liam O'Connell are two guys there now who are in new to the panel. Egan from Corofin, very good player. There's a lot of guys like that. But again, it's just about, I suppose, getting game time, and staying injury free. It could be a guy that's in the panel already that's got his body, injury free and has a run at it. This is a guy, there's loads of them guys in that panel. I see them in there with him myself, really talented players. I think someone like that could, really go at it and impress everybody.
Obviously, last year's a disappointing year, but do you think it'll nearly stand to the panel? Because if you look at the age profile of the team, there's a large proportion of this Galway senior football panel from the ages of 20 to, you could say, 23.
Yeah, absolutely. But again, um, the year before getting to All Ireland will stand to them too. And they probably got on a run last year and got to the Ireland, and you can kind of get into the mindset, oh, this is going to happen every year, and we'll get there again this year. But you really have to. A lot of things have to go your way, and you have to put in the extra yards and the extra effort. And I think the last year's performance will, or this year's performance will hurt that panel, management and players. And I think you'll see a bounce from this year. I'd be very surprised if Galway aren't at all Ireland semi, all Ireland final stages next year.
Yeah, it's really that bit of hurt you can feel now that they can bring in.
Yeah, and again, injuries. Like I'm sure Sean Kelly there, the captain of playing outstanding, and he gets injured at the wrong time of the year. Really unfortunate for him. Damien Comer as well gets injured at the wrong time of year. Like they're two guys now. I'm sure they can't wait to get back to championship action for Galway. And get a game at Croke Park. Even particularly, Paul Conroy now is he's pushing on. But what a phenomenal player he's been for Galway over the years and still going. Um, I'm sure he'll be trying to focus the minds of the players to, you know, don't look at the future and what's going on. Look at the here and now and take every game as they come, and keep your body right, and have a right good go at it and see where it takes you.
Something that has come about uh, last year kind of started, but this year we're hearing a lot of things about it already. You're obviously involved with this Galway Senior Development panel at the minute.
Mhm.
How did that come about, and like how important do you think this can be?
Yeah, so I suppose the Go development squad is predominantly for people from the ages of maybe 20 to 25 who are out of under 20 and probably not just a slightly bit off the senior squad. And it's hard enough to get into a senior panel. The senior panel is picked, it's hard to break into it. And it's for them guys that they're not just getting a phone call in Christmas Eve saying, "Will you come in and play an FBD game in January?" And they've no work done, and they're not, they haven't the strength and condition, and etc. etc. So guys like that in that age group will be able to get the programs that the senior guys on, play some challenge games, be in around the squad, learn from the panel that's in there, and also it's actually beneficial for players who want a second chance. Often you see a guy might be injured and or whatever is going on in his life mightn't have put in given it a right shot, and now at 24, 25, 26, I was thinking, I wouldn't mind a second shot at it. And we're playing a lot of challenge games now at the moment. It's probably going. It started there about maybe 6 weeks ago, and it'll probably go to maybe February, March, and there'll be a lot of games, in-house games between the seniors, challenge games against other intercounty teams, and a lot of the panel will be involved in the FBD, so they'll get a shot at playing against Leitrim. I think it's on the 12th of January. So, if a guy in the development squad goes out and plays really well in an FBD game, Porrick Jason, the management team, will have to, look really closely at them.
It seems already like it's a good stepping stone because even now, would you say minor at under 17 and under 20, like you can have a player, as you mentioned, they're 19, but they're just not quite at intercounty level yet, but to kind of get them up. And it's a success for you as well if players come through from this development panel to senior football.
Yeah, absolutely. A guy from say 20, if you're 20, 21, 22, and you're out of college, and you can lose a lot of players in them times. And if you're at a club that's not doing that well or not senior, you don't have any shop window to show what you can do. And this is a shop window for somebody who wants to create good habits, become a better player, yeah, without the stress of going in, of the intensity of intercounty training all the time, and being monitored with everything. You're still getting in. You're doing the same gym programs as the seniors are doing, and you're hopefully getting yourself ready to when the chance does come that you're able to take it.
Is this giving you for a taste for maybe potentially down the line wanting to get involved in an intercounty setup?
Ah, I don't know, but I have to say I am enjoying it. It is, there's no real. it's not as intense as taking over even a club manager's job. It's less intense. There's no real championship as such, but it is nice to see lads develop, and there's lads that are helping out us, Don LaFlaherty now, and Finian Hanley and Joe Bergen and Declan Meehan and Johnny Ryan from Clonberne. We're all trying to just make players better and kind of give players a bit of confidence to feel good enough that they can compete in there. And I think a lot of it is mindset, that if you really want to do it and feeling like you can do it. And, we're just trying to get people, get them up to speed with it and feeling confident enough to actually, if the chance does come, that you can take it.
Is that a nice element being involved in a setup like with some of your ex-teammates?
Yeah, it actually is. And when you finish playing football, it's amazing. You're friends with lads. You're training with them every second night, and when you leave a panel, you don't see each other that often. It's gone, and it's only when you start getting involved in teams again, you come back and you realize the crack that you've missed with all the lads around, and it is great fun. And as well, you never lose that competitive streak. You love seeing players, teams doing well, and all them guys are the same as myself. We just want the best for Galway football, and get the players moving as well as they can.
Obviously, there you've played with Joe, you've played with Declan and Finian there, obviously, but your own Galway career from '02 to 2013.
Mhm.
How do you reflect back on it now?
Yeah, I have to say, I probably looking back, I think we had a lot of missed opportunities. I think we we didn't get to Croke Park enough of times. The panel of players that we had, like back in 2000 and in 2000, say 2005, 2009, like the players that were there was phenomenal when you look back at it. Like 2006, 2007, you had the old 98 team, and you still had, you had Michael Dunn and Derek Savage, Pádraig Joyce, Jeff Allen, Paul Clancy, all still there. And then you still had Michael Dunn or Michael Meehan, Nicky Joyce, Cormac Ban, Sean Armstrong. You had real top players. And I think, like I was saying about the seniors, we probably injuries was a huge thing for my time. I thought Michael Meehan, was our Damien Comer, Shane Welch, and he kind of, he got a bad injury into that, was it 2009, 8 or 9, and he kind of never got to his full peak again after that. And we lost a lot of games by a point or two, and he would have got us over the line. A fully fit Michael Mean would have got us over the line. And even back 2004, 2005, Michael Donlan had kind of issues with his grinds, and another world class player. And you need all your team fit. 2009, Joe Bergen did his Achilles tendon, and I remember Paul Shaughnessy in 2006, who was going really well as a kind of a midfielder, did his cruciate in the club championship just before we played Mayo, and was a huge loss to us. But like we did well against in Connacht, but we never really tackled the All Ireland stage. And if you look at Mayo, who we would have felt we were stronger than them or with a better panel, they would have got to probably 2 or 3 All Irelands in them time in them few years, maybe even 4, and we would have felt that we could have done a better, put up a better show in if we had got forward than they did. But that's neither here nor there. We just didn't take our chances when they were there, and and just to answer your question, probably missed opportunities is the big thing when I look back at it.
I've talked to Vinny Hanley before about this on the podcast, and he's referenced that maybe it took Galway a while to catch up with the way football was going. Because if you look around those mid-noughties times, Tyrone obviously brought in that kind of, you could say, the start to defensive football. And do you think as well with that, the kind of constant change of managers, did all that not really help you?
Absolutely, the change of managers, and you see it even at club level. I see it at the club championship now. A lot of teams are changing managers, and sometimes a lot of managers are clever people. They learn every time they go on, and a change of manager may not necessarily be the right thing. And there was did we have six new managers in 9 or 10 years there at one stage? So every September, October, you're meeting a new manager and they're meeting new players. So some managers might like you, other managers might not. And they don't really fully understand who their best players are until they've gone through a season of championship. And, I felt even if you look back at, Peter Ford, I thought if he got another year, I thought he was building something. And Liam Salmon, we won a kind of final in 2008 and last one in 2009, and kind of he was left. Joe Kerner came in for 1 year, and I thought both of them managers, if they had gotten one more year, would have done really well. I thought I thought they had the credentials, and the players were there to just build on something. And definitely change of managers did not help. Definitely.
Yeah, you already referenced like when you go through all those players, it's mind blowing, really, when you look at the like even some of the players who didn't start. But for yourself on your own career, can you be content with your own performances and the time you gave Galway football?
Yeah, yeah. No, I'm delighted that I played so long, but yeah, it was I probably started. I was in really early, and after under 20, we won the under 21 All Ireland, and I got called into the panel then. But there was a few years there I was kind of hampered with injuries and soft tissue injuries. Nothing significant, but it kind of helped. I didn't. My career didn't fully start until I'd say I was 23, 24. And for a few years then, I felt good, and I thought I played pretty well. But as I said, it was all about staying fit, and I probably didn't stay fit for as long as I'd liked. I was at the start of my career and probably to the end of the career, I was, missed a lot of games with hamstrings and calf injuries and stuff like that. That just you didn't get a right run at it. But yeah, looking back, I'm happy enough, delighted to have played for Galway. It's a great honor, It's a great honor to play for Galway. It's not many people that get a chance to, but glad I did it for as long as I could.
Were those injuries at that time was it tough to deal with?
Oh yeah, I feel so. Look down, even down in Loch George, you see lads with injuries, and it's not. It's difficult, and it brings me back to when you're there, and you want to play and you want to get fit and show what you can do, and you just can't, and you can't play through it if you've a pulled hamstring or a pulled calf or a bad knee. You can't really play through it, especially at intercounty level, and injuries are probably the hardest thing, to come back from and to mentally be ready to, put in the work when you've a recurrent injury that keeps coming back, putting in the work in the gym and, on the rehab can be difficult after a while. But yeah, I did find it difficult, I have to say, to continuously, rehab and all that. But it's just something you have to do, I suppose, when you do get injured.
S- So this year for 2024, it's going to be your 11 years since you played with Galway. Are you going again for Milltown in 24?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Again, what I did with the last few years, I'll just play a bit of junior and do a bit of training and see how the body holds up. If it feels good in July or August, I might see how it goes. Might tog out and play a bit, but I won't commit to that yet.
And obviously, Charlie Jennings is now stepped down. Have you been able to get a manager yet?
We haven't no, and Jared was very good, and he was there 2 years and did very well. And Justin Burke came in doing the training with us, and was very good also. But no, as far as I know, we don't have a manager now. I'm not involved. I leave that to the younger lads to pick the manager now. But no, I don't think we have one as of yet. But there's a lot of moving chairs in club football. A lot of teams looking for new managers or getting new managers. So it'll be interesting to see. I actually think in the club championship, probably a lot of teams played slightly below par than their usual, and that's probably why there's a lot of changes in management. But I think the club championship, there'll be a lot of teams will get a bounce back from last year and have a good year next year and put in a big effort, I'd say.
Yeah, we were talking about it on the podcast about a week or two ago, but I think it's only two or three clubs that'll have the same management from last year going into this year. Like it's compared to this year, there was a lot of clubs sticking with their managers from the previous year.
Yeah, and as I said before, change of management is not necessarily always the best thing to do, because from what I can see, most teams are fit now anyway. Like guys, even that on their off season are still training away. Um, so you don't see as much of a bounce by a new manager as you used to, because before if you had a team that wasn't fit, you get in a manager and everyone will start training well, and you get a big bounce off it. But yeah, there is a lot of changes in management. So like I'd be expecting a team that I club championship team that I think people should watch out is St James's. I think St James's have a team coming, um, and we're unlucky this year. Down is another team that could, they're a sleeping giant. I think there could be a bounce there. Tuam is another team who probably weren't that happy with their season. So I think they could come back into it. And sure, you also have Curfin, Salthill, another team. Salthill, what a talented bunch they have. Mount Bellew, another team probably who had a below par year. So there's a lot of clubs around that could, if they get their act together and pull together, could have a right good shot at it this year or next year. Sorry.
So just Jimmer, before we do finish, just a few quick fire questions. So over your career, who's been the best footballer you've played with,
Probably Porrick Joyce.
and why?
Oh, he was just so consistent. I'd say probably maybe Michael Donnan was probably naturally better, but Joyce was a phenomenal player. He was rarely injured, and he rarely missed shots. He was just so consistent. He never made many mistakes, and he always turned up. So over the years, and he changed his game. He was an inside forward when he was say 19, 20, 21, up until he was probably late 20s, and then he moved out to centre forward and resurrected his career out there. So and then he kind of finished off inside again. So probably just the consistency that he had, I put him up there.
Your toughest opponent?
Toughest opponent, uh, Paul Galvin, probably very hard to mark. Yeah, I marked him one day down in Kerry. God, I was sore for about a week after. Never stopped running and really tough and energetic. So yeah, I would say him.
And your best day in Gaelic football?
Best day in Gaelic football. It's a difficult one. Um, Yeah, 2008 we won a Connacht final. That was I had come back from Gilmore's groin operation. It was actually I think it was my first game in the year. I just about got in. Uh, in an A versus B game the week before. Probably played well and got it just about got in, and that was a a really good day. Yeah, probably that one.
And then just finally a nice handy one to finish. All Ireland winners for 2024.
Yeah, geez, that's a difficult one. Difficult one. I have to say, I think Galway have a great chance. I think Galway have a great chance. If they stay injury free, I think they have a great chance. Um, yeah, I'm not too sure about Dublin next year. I think they're still relying on the older guys. That might be a small bit too much for them. Kerry, if you can stop Clifford, are beatable, but that's a huge ask. But um, Derry, as well with Mickey Hart might do something, but let's go Galway.
Absolutely. That's what everyone will be thinking ahead of 2024. A huge amount to look forward to. That's all we do have time for on our show for today. A massive thank you to Diarmaid for coming on.